Welcome back to today's video. Today is Monday, August 4th, 2025, and today we are going to be talking about how the Republican Party is redrawing Texas to benefit them in the 2026 midterm elections. Now, we've been talking a lot about Texas, and I've seen some of you guys comment exactly what are the changes in this state? What is exactly making the Republicans more advantageous in the state? How do they get to the point where they are now taking the 5 seats that Donald Trump asked for and now implementing it on the map? And I realized that although we talked about it briefly, talking about how some of the changes are here, the New York Times did a great article that they released just a few days ago where you can actually see it visualized in these districts, showing the current districts and how they cracked some of these bigger city districts or previously Democratic districts and drew them in a way that benefits the Republican Party. Now, thinking about the most recent war that it really has been developing between Governor Greg Abbott and the House Democrats in the state of Texas, is that right now we are seeing Greg Abbott threaten the removal of office for the Democrats that have decided to deny quorum for the Republicans on this House vote. Now, whether or not that holds up legally speaking, and this very clear indication that Abbott is willing to go to no end to try to punish the Democratic Party in response to it, the focus of this video is going to be about exactly how the Republicans decided to make the decisions around which maps are drawn for which, who's doing better in which district, which Republicans and Democrats are being drawn out and drawn into different districts, because the number isn't changing, just the number of Republicans is going to change. So as you can see on the map here, the current number of districts for Democrats is a lot smaller than Republicans. If we actually take a look at it broken down, you'll find that in the last election, Democrats won just 13 seats across the state of Texas. Republicans won 25. Now, it's not too much of a change in terms of overall state delegation. Since 2010, Democrats have struggled, even since the redraw in 2002, when Democrats went from 15 or 17 seats, rather, down to just 11 in just 2 years, because Republicans did exactly what they're doing now, which was a mid-decade redistricting. Democrats actually fled the state then, at which it eventually ended and the maps were implemented. But again, since then, Democrats have not won back that majority in the state of Texas. And so since the 2018 midterms, that was the last time that we saw Texas. Now, Republicans drew their Texas gerrymander in 2010. By the time you reached 2018, the map had looked different, but that was because in 2012, the map was actually meant to be very locked in and solid for the GOP. Republicans won 24 seats, and this context is important for understanding why they're redrawing the map. Republicans won 24 seats here, and Democrats got 12. But by the time you reached 2018, Democrats were within striking distance in many of these states, in many of these districts, rather. If you shift the map by 5, Democrats would have won the majority in Texas. So pretty crazy result here. A 5-point shift would have given Democrats the upper hand, and Republicans got terrified. They knew that by the time the next elections were rolling around, that Texas would need to be a state that if they were to redraw it, would need to be so locked in for the Republican Party that Democrats would have no chance at victory. And that's exactly what they did. In 2024, the Democrats won just 13 seats, but this gerrymander was exquisite. I kid you not, not in a way that should be applauded, but certainly in a way that, politically speaking, was very much more, much better in terms of the map that they drew in 2012 for that election, because by the time you reach the end of the decade, that map near totally collapsed. But again, getting back to this point about what it looks like in 2024, you shift the map by 5. Remember, in 2018, it gave Democrats the majority. Now, what does it do? I pressed a button. Nothing. The map continues. Let's shift it by 5 more points. What happens? Well, some districts start to get closer, but still nothing. 5 more points, Democrats gain 1 seat. This is a 15-point swing, might I add. This would be Democrats winning the popular vote in Texas. Doesn't happen. Doesn't change anything. 5 more points, nothing. 5 more points, you're getting there. But it takes a 25-point shift to get Democrats to being in a position where they actually win nearly the majority in Texas, and that would be with a 10, 15-point victory across the state. So this map is already good for the Republican Party. But Donald Trump wanted more. He wanted 5 seats. So how do you do that? How do you do that without drawing the map in a way that actually benefits the Democratic Party by diluting the Republican Party vote share? Well, they found a way. Let's explore it. It starts off here. The current districts, there are 11 that Kamala Harris won by 10 points or more. On the Trump side, 25 districts won by Trump plus 10 or more. That's a product of a congressional map that was already drawn to be in favor of the Republican Party, but Donald Trump did win the popular vote in Texas by about 14 points. But there were 2 districts in specific that Democrats both hold that voted for Donald Trump by nearly 10-point margins, but it wasn't exactly there. So what did they do? The Republicans reduced the number of Harris plus 10 districts down to just 8. and removed the amount of districts in the 10-point margin in either direction, making it 0. Essentially, they gave Democrats 8 districts, one that was about plus 17 for Harris on the low end and plus 40 on the other end, versus on the Republican side, every single district, all 30 of them, remember they have 25 right now, gaining 5, all voted for Trump by 10 points or more. 10 points or more. That makes it tremendously more difficult for Democrats to win some of these districts and completely eliminates a huge chunk of them. So, let's talk about this. By making the map having no districts that were closer than 10 points or more for Trump, it makes it very difficult for the Democratic Party to make any types of gains in Texas or even hold on to the seats that they have. And while Democrats are arguing that the Voting Rights Act is violated in the way that they drew and cracked majority Black and Hispanic districts, we will not see that be something that can be challenged in the immediate, at least not ahead of the 2026 midterm elections. Republicans, though, say that no, we're not. We're drawing the map in favor of Hispanic voters who still have Republican representatives because the trend lines there are not in favor of the Democratic Party. But taking a look at a good example of how this map actually takes a Democratic district and breaks it up to be a Republican district, well, they do it here in Houston. The 9th Congressional District, who I believe, by no coincidence, is targeting Representative Al Green, who spoke up against Donald Trump's State of the Union in early 2025, is now being diluted. They took the 9th district that was all comprised in Democratic voting share and moved most of it over into the 18th district. Now, you might be saying, isn't this removing one Democratic district and giving it to another? Well, the 18th district already exists as a Democratic district. This is already one that in Houston, I honestly think this is going to show my lack of geography. Sylvester Turner in Texas, not knowing where Houston was just straight off the bat. But this is a district already won in this state. I mean, if we zoom in, we'll actually find the Al Green district here, if we can find our way there. Al Green won an uncontested race, but that 18th district here was drawn in favor of the Democrats as well. I mean, it was a packed-in Republican gerrymander to give Democrats just one district or two districts around this area, the 9th and the 18th. So what did they do? They took this district and they made it so the 9th doesn't exist in the way it used to and becomes a Republican district, meaning that if Al Green wants to run, he says he's already going to be on the ballot next November, would have to run in this 18th district special election, but again, removes the number of Democratic districts in Houston by 1, overall contributing to that net -5 on the statewide level. The next area you can look at is Austin and San Antonio, where you find that 2 Democrats are now being drawn into the same district. Now, Republicans are looking at this map and say, didn't Democrats gerrymander this district? No, Republicans drew this district. They drew it to gerrymander out the Democrats. But either way, 35th district goes from what comprises of huge Democratic pockets in San Antonio and Austin and breaks it up, gives Republicans pockets in both areas, and makes that 35th district comprise more of the San Antonio suburbs, which are overwhelmingly conservative, making that district no longer Democratic. And it forces 2 Democrats to run against each other in one remaining seat. Again, contributing to the overall net 5. Now over here in Dallas, a new district or a new representative, Julie Johnson, who was first elected in 2024, they went after her first. They took her district, which is the 32nd right here, again, a Republican gerrymander made to be a Democratic vote sink, capturing in huge sections of the surrounding Dallas area. Look at the 32nd here, 32nd's right over here. Brings in some pockets of Democratic votes, but hugely counteracts it with Republican votes. And they take it from a Democratic plus 20 district and make it a Trump plus 15 district, a 35-point swing. So these 3 districts that have been axed from Houston to Austin and San Antonio to Dallas already remove the Democrats from having 3 districts. But where are the other 2? Well, you find them in Texas 28 and Texas 34, in the Rio Grande Valley along the southern border of the state of Texas, where 2 Democrats currently hold Trump plus 7 and Trump plus 4 seats respectively, Cuellar and Gonzalez, and they have now turned both of these districts into Trump plus 10 to Trump plus 10. So these districts have become more conservative, and these are Democrats that already in the last election had a close race. In Texas, Cuellar won by about 5.6%, Gonzalez won by about 2.6%. In terms of how they targeted, Cuellar got a 3-point more Republican district. Gonzalez, who won by less than 3 points, got a 6-point more Republican district. The hope here for Republicans, Democrats lose both of these seats. So we'll see. Right now, taking a look at where we are, taking a look at this brand new map, It's clear how Republicans drew it in favor of their own political party, even in a map that was already lopsided to their advantage. Is this a dummy mander? Not explicitly, but they certainly left room to be desired on the Republican gerrymander in the 28th and 34th district. But either way, it is a map that benefits the Republican Party and gives them the overall seats that they need to help put up a fight against the Democrats nationwide. And so we, again, are going to find out exactly what the result is of this denying of quorum and how long Democrats can actually hold out in the state of Texas from returning to office. In just a few hours, Governor Greg Abbott is set to, in theory, declare their seats vacant and replace them with Republicans. Now, I don't know if that's going to happen, and I don't know how that holds up in court or whether or not this map, if passed by a faulty government, even would hold up in court. The Supreme Court probably would intervene, even knowing how conservative it is, probably still wouldn't greenlight this. But just taking a look at how they drew the map, this should answer your questions, if you had any, about how Republicans were actually doing the internal remapping, the taking of a district and making it more conservative, because it's clear as day how they did it. And arguably a political move that will benefit them in the 2026 midterms in Texas. But based on what we're seeing in terms of nationwide reaction, maybe not at all. We'll see. A lot can change between now and November of 2026. And as of now, what I've seen in the state of Texas and what I've seen in this Republican gerrymander is a map that was made to last 4 years, not 10, but we will see if it even does 2 years. If Democrats end up doing better, winning some of these districts that Republicans swear are supposed to be so lopsided in favor of their political party, chances are the map might not be as advantageous to the Republican Party, and all of this fighting would have been, in theory, for nothing. So thank you guys so much for watching this video. Make sure to comment down suggestions below. Subscribe on the left if you haven't already, and check out the Instagram and Twitter. At the bottom left of the screen, there's also a Discord server for you to go ahead and join. On the screen, there's a video for you to watch, and then a playlist for my 2026 House election analysis videos. Again, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you all tomorrow.